I was living at my friend's and his dad. One day I had just gotten home from work and no one was there. I knew they were at work, so I threw my clothes and towel on the toilet seat and jumped in the shower. Since I was alone, I left the bathroom door open. A few minutes later I heard my name being called from the living room and figured one of them had come back as they both sound pretty similar. I answered, "What?" and didn't hear anything. I continued my shower, and a few minutes later, I heard my name being called again. This time, I turned the water off and answered, "In the bathroom." No response. I got out of the shower and reached for my towel. It wasn't there. It was neatly folded on the towel rack across the room. Thinking my friend was just playing a prank, I quickly dried off and got dressed. But when I went out to look, both of their cars were still gone, and the front door was still locked.
This story happened to me on my first day of high school. I remember walking down my street in the morning toward the bus stop. There were a few other kids that stood next to me talking. There was also a man who definitely didn't belong at a high school bus stop. He was tall, had a shaved head, a mustache, and a white tank top on. I thought he looked weird and out of place, but I really didn't give it a second thought. My first day of high school actually went fine. It was on the way home where it all went wrong. I got on the school bus, and as I was walking to find my seat, I saw the same man from this morning sat on the back of the bus. This time he was staring right at me. I didn't know then, and I still don't know now, how this guy even got on the bus in the first place. The house I lived in was one of the last stops, so by the time my stop arrived, most of the kids have gotten off the bus, and the bus was empty. I could just feel that guy staring at me the whole bus ride home, though I didn't dare to look behind me and check. When my stop finally arrived, I got off and I started walking. And of course that creepy man got off and started following me. I started walking faster, and as I did, the man got faster, and that continued right down my street. The faster I walked, the faster he would. It got to the point where I needed to start running. Thankfully, my house was close by. I ran by my house and slammed the door shut, and I looked through the kitchen window to see if the man was still chasing me. He was walking past my house like nothing ever happened, while staring at me. Later that night, I was upstairs in my bedroom when someone knocked at the door, the downstairs door. The next thing I heard was my mom calling me downstairs. When I get there, my mom is looking confused and checking around outside. I say to her, "Yeah, Mom?" She said, "That's weird. There was a man just here asking to speak to you." I asked what he looked like, and she described the same man who chased me home earlier that day. I told my mom about what happened, and how I was pretty sure it was the same guy who knocked at the door. My mother told the police and our school. And actually, this wasn't the first time they have heard reports of this. From what I know, he was never caught. Who knows what he could be doing right now? Just be careful.
This is a story of a young woman who just moved to a new house. On her first night, she heard noises coming from the basement. This happened every night.
As I lay here in the darkness, I cannot help but think about all the things I've never done. Each night I surrender to sleep is another day lost to time. I fade from awareness into a sleep that might as well be death. The horrors I experience in that time are beyond anything I can explain. Still, each morning, I wake to the soft bells of my alarm tone. I'll move through my daily routine, only to return to that position and repeat the cycle. Each night, I lay next to my once beautiful wife. She's not as warm or loving as she used to be. In fact, she's grown rather cold over the past few weeks. We used to lay there and talk for hours. Now, all she does is lay there and stare at the wall. Despite spending each night beside her, I'm left feeling like I'm all alone. It's been 21 days since our last argument. It's been 21 nights since she stopped talking to me. I've tried to reach out to her at night, but lately she seems to be falling apart. She's really let herself go. Her complexion has gone to shit, and the smell is all but unbearable. Still, she's my wife, and I'm not going to abandon her. I think my only complaint is that she never gets out of bed anymore. I didn't hit her that hard. I swear, it's like I've spent the last 3 weeks sleeping next to a corpse.
I live in an apartment building in a modestly big city. I live on the top floor of a 5-story building, as most of the other ones around here are. My apartment is a 1-bedroom with a fairly large living room with big windows out towards the street and the opposing building. That building has a small parking lot up front, so it's not directly across from mine, which I kinda like because of the privacy. Being a night owl, I like to sit up late with my laptop, and sometimes I peek out the window at the building across, looking for lit windows, wondering if anyone else out there is doing the graveyard shift. Last night, I wish that I hadn't. I usually sit with my laptop facing the window. For the last couple of nights I had, in the corner of my eye, been seeing a sparsely lit window in the building across, and in it, some sort of movement. Last night my curiousness got the best of me, so I put my computer down and went over to the window to check it out. And surely enough, you could see someone waving. But just barely. The window was dimly lit, but you could definitely see some movement. I thought about it for a second and went to get a pair of binoculars, and after some searching I found a pair and went back to the window and put them to my eyes. I located the window and got a better look at what was in it. It appeared to be a person lit up by a candle. I couldn't make out the person's face, but he was waving. At me, apparently, because after I had locked onto him with the binoculars, he stopped his waving for a second, and then pointed at me. I got a chill down my spine. This was fucking creepy. He pointed at me, and then made a circling motion with his fingers. He kept doing this over and over until I realized he was signaling for me to turn around. I reacted out of instinct and quickly turned around as if I really were expecting something to be lurking behind me. Nothing was there but darkness. Obviously. So I just chuckled to myself and turned back to the window with my binoculars, only to find the window empty. Except for the candle. Slowly fading out. I jumped back and dropped the binoculars on the floor. The loud noise of the impact spooked me even more. What the fuck? I thought to myself as I went back to my computer. I put on some music to calm me down. I surfed around a bit more until I looked at the time and realized that it was about to get light out. I put my computer down and made my way through a small hallway that led to my bedroom. I didn't have any lights on, but as I approached the bedroom, I noticed a flickering underneath the door. That body froze. Even if I did forget to turn off the bathroom light, a light bulb should not produce that kind of lighting. I slowly walked up to the door, took a deep breath, and lightly pushed the door open. I stepped inside, and to my horror, I found a candle sitting on the sink, revealing a message scribed on the mirror. Never turn around. Have you seen my son? The woman frantically asked the old lady across the street. No, sorry, dear, the old woman replied. Have you seen my son? The woman asked the local police officer, more terrified this time. No, I'm sorry, ma'am, but we'll search right away. The officer responded while taking out his radio, trying not to look at the woman's sorrowful eyes. Please tell me my son is in there, asked the woman to a friend of hers, which happens to live right next to her house. I'm really sorry, Clarice. We haven't seen him, the mother replied. The woman searched everywhere, ran through every part of the street, screaming, "Where is my son?" She was crying, pulling her hair out of despair. Her neighbors, out of pity, helped her in search. Jimmy! Jimmy, where are you? Please come out! Starting that day, from 10 in the morning till 8 in the evening, the woman would leave her house looking like trash. She looked like a risen corpse, pale skin, frizzy hair, and her body growing ever skinnier. She screamed at every part of the town, "Have you seen my son?" Alas, at the second week of her search, everyone must have thought that she'd already gone crazy. She went to the local police department again. "Have you seen my son?" The officer in charge let out a deep sigh. "I'm sorry, ma'am." The woman walked home, looking depressed. But as soon as she closed her front door, a smile painted itself across her face. With a smirk, the woman whispered to herself, "I guess I hid the body well."
If you enjoyed this video, press the like button and subscribe. It really helps my channel grow. Here are a few more videos you might like.